they deserve. If you're just tuning in to the Deviant Core podcast, first of all, let me just say welcome, folks. And we got a bunch more stories to cover. First of all, head on over to our Facebook and the YouTube page, You Deviant Core Podcast. Go ahead and subscribe, like the page, follow us for more content, and we'll definitely have more coming down the road for you. So, one of the biggest hot button topics right now is the stimulus checks that a lot of people are talking about. They are wondering, well, first of all, are we even going to get another stimulus check? And second of all, what is it going to be? So, what we're going to answer today is those questions. And we're going to talk about what people are going to get paid, how they're getting paid, and what potentially is coming on here. So, the second stimulus payments are coming. The second rounds, they've been announced, and they are coming to your pockets or bank accounts near you. So pay attention, folks. So right now it hasn't been official, but they're still talking about it. They're still trying to figure out what people are gonna get. So Democrats want one thing for people, Republicans want the other for people. But overall, what it's looking like, and we'll dive deeper into the story too as well. But overall, what it's looking like is that a lot of people are going to probably get the $1,200 check, and the requirements are probably going to be similar to the ones that we got last time. So, for instance, if you got a stimulus check last round, you're probably going to receive one this round. But let's get into the story. Second stimulus check has been announced as Congress weighs a second round of stimulus check, and Congress appears focused on a one-time $1,200 round payment. The $1,200 round payment check is included in the HEALS Act, the Health Economic Assistance Liability Protections in Schools Act. Where do they come up with the names for this stuff? Right? I feel like they have like someone just like chilling there, and they're like, okay, what do we call this? It's the Health Economic Assistance Liability Protections Act. Let's call it HEALS. Dude, you're a genius. I always wondered if I was a fly on a wall to be there when they come up with these names: the CARES Act, the HEALS Act, the HEROES Act, all those stuff that's going on. But anyways, so this is supposed to be a $1 trillion package that Senate Republicans under the leadership of Senate Mitch McConnell proposed in July. However, there is a new proposal. So $1,000 one-time second stimulus check is what Mitt Romney, Marco Rubio, Bill Cassidy, Steve Daines proposed as the Coronavirus Assistance for American Families Act. So instead of $1,200, the Republicans want you to have $1,000. They want you to have less money. I don't know if they're purposely trying to lose in November or what's going on through their minds, but they want to give you less money than what people got. So what the Democrat, because the Senate also has a proposal, which are Democrats, for $2,000 a month. So they want a monthly payment of $2,000 for you guys. And yeah, they don't think the Senate's going to support this plan. So at first glance, let's read on. At first glance, a $1,200 stimulus check seems financially superior to a $1,000 stimulus check. However, it's important to understand the details to determine how much you can get with the second stimulus check. So we'll break down a little deeper how that goes. But yeah, they're gonna go argue with this. So essentially, Republicans want less money to Americans up front. Democrats want more per month going throughout. And so there's going to be a battle on this. One side's trying to want you to have less money. The other side wants you to have more money. One side wants to be more conservative. The other side wants to spend more. Realistically, what difference does it make to me? I mean, the wool's already off. The mask is off, right? We know that you can pretty much print as much money as you can. So why not? Why the heck not? Give more money to more people. So here's how their stuff breaks down. Okay. The second stimulus check, like I said, they're gonna keep everything the same. So if you make less than $75,000, you're gonna get the full $1,200. Otherwise, it drops past that, I believe. And essentially, with the new $1,000 proposal, the Republicans want, if you're just single, you get $1,000. If you're married, you get $2,000. But each dependent, here's the caveat: each dependent gets $1,000. So if you have two kids, each of those kids get $1,000. So you get $2,000. Each of your kids get $2,000 for a total of $4,000. And under the other $1,200, although they front load $1,200 or $2,400 for married couples, each dependent only gets $5. So let's say if you have 2 kids, going back to that scenario, you're only going to get $500 per kid. So that totals out to up to $3,400. So it seems like under the $1,200 plan, you get less than if they just paid each person $1,000 and then you get more for your kid. So it really just depends on how you look at it. But they're gonna go back and fight over this because first of all, they're gonna try to get what they want in there, right? Well, we all know that when there's a crisis, there's always an opportunity for a good old-fashioned looting, right, that the politicians are going to do. So, they're going to get theirs no matter what, and you get the scrums. But, there's more aid going to Americans, so, that's good. However, it's still not enough. I don't even think it's close to being enough to fend off what the heck is going on. And they're going to go back and forth. They're going to fight. They're going to go back and forth. They're going to fight about this, but what does it matter? Last time around we spent $2.2 trillion, right? Republicans want $1 trillion. They won't spend that much. Why does it matter? What's the difference between 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, 4 trillion? We're already in debt. Run it up. Why not? Get the necessary stuff that the American people need. Is it me? Or throughout this whole thing, even something like $1 trillion doesn't mean anything to me anymore? Is that weird? That's a weird thing. Like, and obviously $1 trillion is a lot of money, but right now, just looking at how much compared to how quickly we were able to just whip out and open the books, open the Federal Reserve's bank account and start doling out trillions of dollars. Since we realized that we can do it, it's $1 trillion now. Just what the who cares? It's not even a lot. Throw another $1 trillion on there. Why not? But they're gonna keep up this weird charade that we don't have enough money when we just proved that we did. And this is gonna lead to a lot of problems, guys. And it's problems that we're not gonna feel right now. If you ask me personally, I wouldn't do this. And no, I'm not saying that, people don't deserve help. If anything, I'm going to give the Americans more help, right? But at this point, we're going to feel the impact of this. Later on, we're going to feel this. It's going to suck. It's going to hit hard too. So yeah, we'll get our temporary fix, but we're going to feel this thing. And what's going to happen is it's going to come in a form of inflation. People say, Drew, what are you talking about? Inflation's not going to happen. The U.S. dollar is strong. We're the world reserve currency. We're strong. Okay, cool. But here's the thing. We got more money out there, and our economy isn't productive. For those guys who don't know, right, for an economy to work, people have to be productive. People have to be doing something. And even since 2008, people haven't recovered. People haven't been doing as much. We've been losing jobs to overseas competition. There's been less of that to go around. Wages have been stagnated. So even before this started, we were already in a tough situation. So now you have the outbreak that happens that puts more businesses out of business, puts more people out of work, and less people are being productive. So we have an economy right now where people are no longer productive. And most companies right now are struggling to stay alive. They're struggling to stay alive right now. Majority of the money they're getting, it's literally going into staying alive, not thriving. So we're not in a good spot right now. And some of the reasons why these companies were in the situation in the first place was the lowered interest rates. What happens when you lower interest rate, it incentivizes people to make terrible investments and purchase decisions, right? Because money is just everywhere at this point and it's easy to get access to. But some of these companies who got the bailout, the first ones, that $500 billion that they got, that was part of that $2.2 trillion package, They did not run their companies efficiently. They did not make wise investment. In fact, what they did, most of them, they actually took out debt because the interest rates were next to nothing, and then they used that to purchase their own stocks. Their own stocks because it makes their company look good. And the CEO gets a big bonus based on how their stock prices perform. So once you understand how these players get paid, you start to understand how the game is played. You start understanding what really works. So these guys who made terrible investments and terrible decisions decided to run their company into the ground. I believe that poorly managed companies deserve to fail. They have to. Otherwise, you're just incentivizing. If I know, listen, if you put me the head of a multi-million-dollar company and you lowered the crap out of interest rates, and I'm pulling the shenanigans I'm pulling, of course I'm going to be carefree about it, because if I know that the government's going to buy me out at the end because I'm too big to fail, what's the incentive? What's the incentive for me to do the right thing and actually make money for the company? Right? If we're forcing people, like we laugh at people, the news laughs at the everyday American. When we're forcing everyday Americans to, not forcing them, I shouldn't say that. When we're making or suggesting that everyday Americans, when they should have in terms of savings, what 2 to 3 months, 4 months of savings saved at least, right? We laugh at Americans and the most media anyways. They laugh at the daily American, the average American who doesn't have that saved up. Oh, you don't have $100 to your name? That's weird. That's concerning, right? Because most Americans don't have that. So we should have these same standards for the companies. Why is it that your business goes out for 1 week, you shut down for 2 weeks, and you don't have enough to keep going? Now, it's different for restaurant owners because their business is a little bit different. But for some of these major companies that took the last bailout, that took the last package, why isn't that when crap hits the fan, because everyone's doing good during the good times, but when crap hits the fan, why is it that you don't have enough to ride out the storm? Why is that? You guys should be held to the same exact standard. Poorly managed companies like even Hertz that we were just talking about, they deserve to go out of business. More money into the system. The more money we pump into the system, the more money we give into these undeserving corporations, the worse it gets for us down the road. And you can see indicators all over the place. For those of you guys who are who follow the markets, gold's up right now, just under $2,000. Silver, just under $25 at the time of this recording. Those are two big indicators that something huge is coming down the pipeline. When precious metals start to go up in price, that's a huge indicator that people got to start paying attention to. What it means is that the fate in the system, the currencies that we currently have right now for Americans is waning. We are losing faith in our dollar. We are losing faith in our currencies. We are not, the fact that even we're printing so much money that can go around to so many people and support them so much, people are losing faith in their system. So they're retreating. They're retreating to precious metals and other safe investments. And some people are not making the wise investments. But look, I mean, some people be like, Drew, you're a crazy person, right? You're evil. You want people to not get assistance. You want people to not get help. You know, you're in favor of people failing. I'm actually not. Let's just be real. I'm actually in favor of people getting more money, right? Crap. The mask is off. We already know we can make money out of nowhere. So let's get more money out to the people. I would even opt for more of a monthly thing till we can find an issue to this pandemic. And then what I would also do if I was handling a situation, I would try to figure out a way to get people back to being productive again. And that's what we need to do. That's how we can solve this problem, is to get, now it's going to hurt. We're not going to escape it, but to get people back to working again. So I would vote for more money, and it's going to be more on a monthly basis to make sure to help people and families who are struggling through this crisis, who've lost their jobs. More injections to them on a monthly basis, not on this one-time crap, right? Just to show you, Republican or Democrat, they don't care, right? They give you a one-time payment. You know what? The first payment was in March, and we're in August. How crazy is that? So this shows you that they don't care about you. They're not even thinking about you right now. They're throwing you 12. They're deciding whether to give you $1,200 or $1,000. They don't care. I would give more money. I would give a bump to essential workers right now. Those are the people who are not getting attention right now. The people who are out there on the front lines working, dealing with people during this whole thing. Give them a bump. Every person who is an essential employee gets an additional $600 a week. Why not we do that? We'll do that, right? And on top of that, I'd freeze payroll taxes. Why not? I'd reduce unemployment benefits and freeze payroll taxes. Now, I'm not crazy. The reason why I want to reduce the unemployment benefits is because we want people back to being productive. We want to incentivize people to go back to work. So the less money the government takes out of their pockets, the more money they get or they potentially get versus what they're currently getting with unemployment. So it's going to get them to at least start seeking something if they know that they can get another $600 a week on top of their paycheck. So if Congress can supply more support to small businesses to help them financially motivate their candidates, potential job candidates to apply, it'll make, and also more money to make their business more coronavirus compliant, right? So if small businesses are going to be forced to make changes in order to survive, let's give them more money to even help them get set up to according to the guidelines, which, by the way, are still unclear. We don't know what's going on, what to think. So that's another problem that they should be dealing with right now, but they're not. They're not. So we don't know the proper guidelines. So let's develop proper guidelines first, and get businesses, help get aid to small businesses, in terms of making those adjustments for it. So then they're in compliance with that. So we give them more money, and then some kind of big job overhaul, they just need to put a lot of money into the federal government, put a bunch of money into hiring a bunch of people, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. Realistically, there's a lot of things in this country that needs to get done, that needs to get fixed, that needs to get taken care of. And if we can figure out a way to create those programs, create those jobs, and get those people who are currently unemployed on those jobs and working, well, first of all, it's productive. People are being productive, people are getting paid, and they're not relying on a boosted unemployment. That's how I would go about it. It seems pretty self-explanatory here. That's what I would do. More benefits for now for people until we can get a better handle on this thing. And then after we've gotten a better handle on this thing, let's start getting people to be more productive. Let's start giving money to small businesses. Let's start giving money, putting our money where it really matters, versus letting corporations rate it. And another thing that I would do is that these too big to fail companies, right? First of all, I'd let them fail. Now, I'm not crazy. I don't think the whole system should come down. If they're too big to fail and they're very important to our daily lives, well, I think that we should bail them out. But under the condition that top level management and executives get replaced. They have to be replaced. You have to replace them with more competent ones. Because anyone who is stupid enough to let their company go bankrupt and need a bailout from the taxpayer shouldn't be running the company. Let's just be real. Think about it. If any one of you guys got appointed a top level executive position for a company and you failed, and that responsibility would come directly on you. You'd probably be fired. If you failed at your tasks and you're an executive of a company, you'd get retired. You get fired right off the bat. So let's do the same. Let's apply the same standards to these guys. If your company's too big to fail, perfect. Well, the staff isn't. Let's get them all out of there. Replace them with ones that know how to run a company so they don't need bad behavior. Because if we don't do this, guys, what this does is it incentivizes bad behavior. Because if I'm a CEO of a company and I know that, hey, you know what? I'm going to get a bailout anyways. I'm just going to make reckless decisions. Because in the end, I know I got a safety net. Socialism for the rich. But it really is, though. It really is, though. right? We talk about no socialism. Socialism is bad, which I don't think it's that good for a lot of people. If you really knew the history of socialism, it's actually terrible. But we have that right now for corporations. So let's figure that out. Let's start asking some questions over there and figure out what these guys are up to. And let's start taking real steps to solve these problems. Anyways, moving on to more fun stuff. For those of you guys just tuning in, welcome to the